The massive observation deck of the Kethvar warship hummed with quiet efficiency as the ship's artificial gravity generators maintained perfect stability. Ambassador Zeftai adjusted his ceremonial robes as he entered the command center, his forearms moving with practiced grace. The holographic display showed a small blue planet spinning slowly in the void, its surface mottled with green continents and white cloud formations. "Report," Zeftai commanded, his voice carrying the authority of the Hegemony Council. His mandibles clicked with the anticipation of another routine conquest. Military advisor Krendos stepped forward, her scaled hide gleaming under the artificial lights. Her reptilian features remained impassive as she gestured toward the tactical display. The human homeworld designation Earth has been classified as a Category 3 civilization. Population approximately 8 billion distributed across 7 continents. Technology level, primitive by our standards. Science Officer HFY Sesmar manipulated the hologram with delicate tentacles, each appendage moving with precision as data streams flowed across multiple displays. Their fastest vessels achieve barely 3% light speed using chemical propulsion. Weapons are chemical and nuclear-based with limited range and accuracy. No energy shields detected, no plasma weaponry, no quantum manipulation capabilities. Behavioral analyst Vexhun tilted her elongated head, studying psychological data streams that scrolled endlessly across her personal monitor. Her large eyes absorbed information at superhuman rates. Psychological profile indicates standard primate behavior patterns. Territorial disputes within species groups, aggressive competition for resources, but limited coordination on planetary scale. Individual intelligence adequate, but collective organization primitive. Tactical expert Morgat crossed his muscular arms, his scarred face bearing witness to countless military campaigns. Threat assessment: minimal. Standard orbital bombardment should achieve complete surrender within 48 hours. Resistance will be negligible based on observed technology limitations. Zeftai nodded slowly, his confidence absolute. The humans have refused our ultimatum to surrender their system and accept hegemony governance. They transmitted a response claiming they will fight us. His mandibles clicked in what passed for Kethvar amusement. Apparently, they believe their primitive weapons can challenge the might of the hegemony. Their response was colorful, Vexhun added, consulting her behavioral analysis notes. The exact phrase was "come and take it," followed by several expressions that do not translate well into standard hegemony. Predictable primate bravado, Morgek dismissed. They will learn quickly when faced with superior firepower. Zeftai activated the strategic command console. Begin Operation Cleansing Storm. Deploy the advanced fleet to their outer colonies. Standard suppression protocols. Capture their mining facilities intact for resource extraction. 3 days later, the same officers gathered again in the command center. This time, tension filled the room like a toxic gas, and the usual confident atmosphere had been replaced by something approaching unease. Report on mining station Prometheus, Zeftai demanded, noting the unusual delay in his officers' responses. Krendos activated the tactical display, her usual confidence notably absent. Her scaled hands trembled slightly as she manipulated the controls. The station defended itself more effectively than anticipated. Our raiders approached expecting minimal resistance based on intelligence reports. The hologram showed a small asteroid mining facility built into a rocky outcropping, scarred by weapon impacts but still functioning. Debris from destroyed Kethvar assault craft drifted in the surrounding space. The humans had 12 security personnel according to our intelligence, HFY Sesmar continued, his tentacles writhing nervously. Standard civilian security force with basic training. Our force numbered 60 elite shock troops with full combat enhancement and modern weaponry. And the result? Zeftai's voice carried a dangerous edge that made his subordinates shift uncomfortably. Vexhun stepped forward nervously, her large eyes darting between her colleagues. The humans, they used the mining equipment as weapons. Industrial plasma cutters became artillery pieces with devastating effect. They turned their rock crushers into projectile launchers, firing or chunks at velocities approaching weapons grade. The display showed recorded footage of human defenders improvising weapons from industrial machinery. A figure in a simple pressure suit rode a mining mech, using its massive drill arm to puncture raider armor while simultaneously operating cutting lasers with deadly precision. Most disturbing, Morgek added grimly, they used their own life support systems as weapons. They deliberately vented atmosphere to create explosive decompression traps and sealed corridors. No rational species would sacrifice their own survival systems. Krendos pulled up communication intercepts, her voice tight with suppressed concern. The voice of Station Commander Sarah Chen coordinated their defense. The recording crackled through the speakers with remarkable clarity. All stations, this is Prometheus Control. Enemy boarding parties on levels 3 and 7. Initiating emergency mining blast protocol. All personnel to emergency shelters. They detonated mining charges inside their own station. HFY Sesmar explained, his tentacles coiling with distress. The explosions killed 30 of our troops in confined spaces and 14 of their own people. They knew the casualties would be severe. Zeftai's mandibles clicked rapidly, a sign of extreme agitation. They killed their own people deliberately? Willingly, Vexhun confirmed, consulting her behavioral analysis data. Communications analysis shows they calculated the acceptable losses. Commander Chen's final transmission was unusual for a defeated commander. The recording played Chen's last words before the station's communication array was destroyed. Tell Earth we held them for 6 hours and 17 minutes. Tell them we made every minute count. Tell them we learned their weaknesses. 6 hours and 17 minutes, Morgek repeated grimly. Our tactical projections estimated 15 minutes maximum resistance. Zeftai studied the tactical readout with growing concern. 12 humans had held off 60 Kethvar raiders for over 6 hours using improvised weapons and desperate tactics. What are our exact losses? 43 dead, 12 wounded, 3 permanently disabled, Krendos reported quietly. The humans, they fought until not one remained capable of resistance. No surrender attempts, no negotiation requests. And they used deception, Morgek added. False retreat signals, hidden weapon caches, coordinated ambush tactics. They lured our forces into prepared kill zones using fake distress calls. This level of tactical sophistication is unexpected for a Category 3 civilization, HFY Sesmar admitted reluctantly. Their improvisation rate exceeded our adaptation protocols. Zeftai stood silently for several minutes, processing the implications. A minor mining station with civilian-grade equipment had inflicted significant casualties on elite military forces. Continue with the operation. Deploy the 3rd Assault Division to New Geneva Colony. Increase force strength to ensure rapid conclusion. 2 weeks later, the mood in the command center had shifted from amusement to serious concern. Officers moved with the careful precision of beings trying to hide their growing anxiety. New Geneva Colony Comprehensive Report, Zeftai ordered, his voice lacking its former authority. HFY Sesmar's tentacles writhed nervously as he activated the comprehensive tactical display. Population 40,000 across multiple settlement clusters. We expected rapid surrender when faced with orbital bombardment demonstration and overwhelming ground forces. The hologram showed a sprawling colony built into mountain caverns and surface installations. Battle damage scarred the landscape extensively, but the settlement remained largely intact and apparently functional. The colonists had been preparing for weeks, Krendos admitted reluctantly, her scaled hide showing stress patterns. Hidden weapon caches distributed throughout the settlement, modified civilian vehicles converted to military use, coordinated defense networks with redundant communication systems. Morgek pulled up detailed tactical recordings. They turned farming tractors into mobile weapons platforms using improvised armor plating and mounted heavy equipment. Construction mesh became assault units with welded weapon mounts. They even weaponized their weather control systems. The display showed human defenders using massive terraforming equipment to create artificial storms, disrupting Kethvar aircraft navigation systems and grounding atmospheric support craft. Colony Administrator David Park organized the entire population into coordinated resistance cells, Vexhun reported, highlighting organizational charts. Age groups from 16 to 70 participated in combat operations with assigned roles based on physical capability and technical expertise. A communication intercept played Park's voice addressing his people over colony-wide communications. Citizens of New Geneva, they think we're just farmers and miners living on the frontier. Let's show them what Earth's children can accomplish when we work together. The humans demonstrated unprecedented coordination for a supposedly primitive species, HFY Sesmar continued, manipulating data streams. They used their civilian communication networks to coordinate simultaneous attacks across 17 different locations, creating the impression of much larger forces. Zeftai studied footage of elderly humans operating sophisticated weapon systems while teenagers ran ammunition and supplies to frontline positions. What were our exact casualties this time? 218 dead, over 300 wounded, 47 permanently disabled, Krendos reported quietly. The colony held for 3 weeks and 2 days before we achieved tactical control. 3 weeks. Zeftai's voice rose dangerously. A civilian colony resisted professional military forces for 3 weeks? The humans adapted their tactics daily, Morgic explained, bringing up tactical analysis charts. Every time we developed countermeasures for their strategies, they implemented completely different approaches. They learned from each engagement and modified their techniques accordingly. Vexhan highlighted disturbing psychological analysis data. Most concerning is their treatment of our wounded personnel. They provided medical aid to captured Kethvar soldiers using their own limited medical supplies. The display showed human medics treating alien wounds alongside their own people in makeshift field hospitals. Dr. Lisa Okafor, the colony's chief physician, established field hospitals that treated both species equally, Vexhan continued. She told our prisoners during medical treatment, "Today we fight because we must, tomorrow we might be neighbors who need each other." Zeftai's forearms trembled slightly. They show mercy to enemies while simultaneously fighting to the death? The psychological profile indicates this behavior is consistent across human populations, Vexhan confirmed. They separate tactical military necessity from personal hatred. They can kill you, and then treat your wounds with equal dedication. Additionally, HFY Sesmar added, they demonstrated rapid technological advancement during the engagement. Weapons that were crude improvisations in Week 1 became sophisticated systems by Week 3. We may have seriously underestimated their capabilities, Zeftai admitted quietly. However, we cannot appear weak before the Hegemony Council. Proceed with the main assault. Deploy the first battle fleet to Earth's lunar installations. Overwhelming force should compensate for any unexpected resistance. 1 month later, the command center resembled a morgue. Officers moved with the careful precision of beings trying to hide their growing fear and the dawning realization that they might have made a catastrophic error. Luna-Base Comprehensive Assault Report, Zeftai commanded, though his voice lacked any trace of its former authority. Krindos approached the central display with visible reluctance, her movements suggesting she carried terrible news. The assault on humanity's lunar military installations has encountered significant and unexpected complications that challenge our fundamental assumptions. The hologram showed Earth's moon in stark detail, its surface dotted with human military facilities, industrial complexes, and extensive underground networks. Massive debris fields indicated prolonged and intensive fighting. Colonel Marcus Rodriguez commands Luna Base 7, the primary military installation, THY Sesmar reported, his tentacles moving with nervous energy. Intelligence originally suggested 12,000 military personnel and support staff with standard defensive capabilities. The humans had been preparing for months while we conducted preliminary operations, Morgic added grimly. They had systematically converted every civilian installation into weapons platforms. Every mining laser became a defensive weapon. Every construction tool became military equipment. The tactical display revealed the full extent of human preparations. Solar collectors had been modified into concentrated energy weapons. Mass drivers designed for launching cargo now fired kinetic projectiles at devastating velocities. Even the low-gravity manufacturing facilities had been converted to produce weapons and ammunition at industrial scales. Rodriguez implemented a defense strategy we had never encountered, Krindos continued. Instead of concentrating forces for traditional defensive positions, he spread them across the entire lunar surface in interconnected networks. Communication intercepts played Rodriguez's voice coordinating the complex defense through multiple channels. All units, this is Luna Command. Remember our mission parameters. We're not just defending a military base. We're protecting Earth and buying time for our people to prepare. Every minute we hold them here is another minute for Earth to ready its defenses. The humans use the lunar environment as a weapon system, Morgic explained, highlighting tactical innovations. They created artificial rock slides using precise explosive charges, used the low gravity for enhanced mobility tactics we couldn't match, and even weaponized solar radiation using reflector arrays. Footage showed human soldiers using modified mining suits to move across the lunar surface in ways Kethvar forces couldn't replicate. They launched themselves between installations using magnetic catapults, turning their entire military doctrine around environmental advantages that negated Kethvar technological superiority. Captain Sarah Kim led a counterattack using modified civilian shuttles, THY Sesmar reported grimly. They retrofitted cargo haulers with military weapons and used them for coordinated assault runs against our capital ships with devastating effectiveness. The display showed human pilots executing complex maneuvers with civilian craft converted into attack vessels, ramming damaged shuttles into Kethvar vessels and causing catastrophic explosions that crippled entire battle groups. Dr. Chenwei, their chief engineer, developed rapid modifications to existing civilian technology, Vexhun added, bringing up technical analysis reports. He converted their communication satellites into guided missiles, their life support systems into chemical weapons, and their medical equipment into electronic warfare systems. Zeftai watched extensive footage of humans jury-rigging advanced weapons from spare parts and civilian equipment with terrifying efficiency. What specific innovations did they demonstrate? They repurposed quantum communication arrays into electromagnetic pulse weapons that disabled our electronics, HFY Sesmar explained in detail. They modified their medical nanobots into electronic warfare systems that infiltrated our computer networks. Even their food processors were converted into explosive manufacturing using basic chemistry. Most alarming from a strategic perspective, Vexhun continued, they demonstrated exponential learning capability. Tactics that proved effective in the first week were completely useless by the second week. They studied our weapon discharge patterns and developed precise countermeasures. Communication intercepts revealed the depth of human analytical capability. Engineer Chen's voice crackled through the speakers with disturbing precision. Pattern analysis shows Kethvar plasma weapons have a 37-millisecond charge cycle with predictable targeting algorithms. Adjust all defensive timing protocols accordingly and implement randomized movement patterns. They reverse-engineered our weapon specifications from battlefield observation alone, Morgek admitted with obvious discomfort. No species in hegemony records has ever accomplished tactical analysis of this sophistication during active combat operations. The humans also demonstrated behavioral patterns we have never encountered in any species, Vexhun added quietly. They consistently prioritized rescuing wounded personnel over maintaining tactical advantages, even when such actions compromised mission success. The display showed human soldiers taking enormous risks to recover both their own wounded and injured Kethvar troops from dangerous combat zones. Lieutenant Amanda Foster led a rescue mission into a collapsed underground facility to save both human and Kethvar personnel trapped by artillery bombardment, Vexhun continued. She told her squad during the mission, "War doesn't make us animals. We stay human regardless of circumstances." Zeftai's mandibles clicked nervously as he processed this incomprehensible behavior. What were our final casualty numbers? 863 dead, over 1,000 wounded, 215 permanently disabled, Krendos reported with visible distress. 3 capital ships severely damaged and requiring extensive repairs, 12 support vessels completely destroyed, and extensive damage to our assault capabilities. And the human casualties? Zeftai asked, though he dreaded the mathematical implications of the answer. Luna Base 7 maintained organized resistance for 42 days and 11 hours, Morgek reported. Colonel Rodriguez's final transmission was remarkable in its implications. The recording played the colonel's last words with crystal clarity. Luna Command to Earth Defense Coordination. We have maintained defensive operations for 6 weeks and 1 day. Enemy forces are stronger than initial assessments indicated, but they are not invincible. All battle data is being transmitted continuously. Learn from our tactical mistakes. Study their weaknesses. Make them pay dearly for every light year of advance toward Earth. 42 days, Zeftai repeated, his voice hollow with realization. A single human installation held our entire first battle fleet for 42 days using improvised tactics and converted civilian equipment. They coordinated with Earth during the entire engagement, THY Sesmar added ominously. Every battle was simultaneously a learning experience transmitted to their homeworld. They were conducting systematic intelligence gathering while fighting for their lives. They are far more dangerous than our initial calculations indicated, Vexhun admitted reluctantly. Their adaptability exceeds our projections, their willingness to sacrifice challenges logical analysis, their innovation capabilities approach theoretical impossibility, and their rapid learning suggests capabilities we associate with advanced civilizations. Zeftai stood silently for several minutes, processing the catastrophic implications of their situation. Emergency Council Session. All department heads and senior staff report immediately for strategic reassessment. Within 2 hours, the command center had been converted into a formal council chamber. Additional officers filled every available space, and the atmosphere carried the weight of impending crisis as Zeftai called the emergency session to order. Fellow Kethvar, he began, his voice heavy with the implications of failure, we have made a severe and potentially catastrophic miscalculation regarding human capabilities. Science Officer THY Sesmar presented the accumulated data on multiple holographic displays. 3 separate engagements with human forces have yielded increasingly disturbing results. Their Category 3 classification was not merely inadequate, It was dangerously wrong. The humans demonstrate technological adaptability, tactical innovation, and strategic thinking that matches or exceeds our own capabilities, Krendos added with obvious reluctance. They have consistently outperformed our projections in every measurable category. Behavioral analyst Vexhun stepped forward with comprehensive psychological profiles. Most concerning is their psychological framework. They combine logical tactical thinking with emotional motivations that make their behavior essentially unpredictable by standard analysis. They fight for abstract concepts we struggle to quantify, she continued. Home, freedom, protection of the weak, species loyalty. These motivations make them fundamentally irrational by our logical standards, but also make them essentially impossible to defeat through traditional methods. Tactical expert Morgek activated the strategic projection system. Analysis of human combat performance indicates they improve exponentially with each engagement. If they apply lessons learned from these encounters on a planetary scale with full industrial support. He paused, allowing the mathematical implications to settle over the assembled officers. The silence was deafening. They modify their technology during active combat operations, HFY Sesmar emphasized. They learn our tactical weaknesses in real time and develop countermeasures faster than we can adapt our strategies. No species in hegemony records has demonstrated this level of adaptive capability. Fleet Commander Garthek, who had remained silent during the initial briefings, stepped forward. There is another consideration. Human space-based infrastructure is more extensive than our intelligence indicated. They have defensive installations throughout their solar system that we have not yet encountered. Explain, Zeftai demanded. Deep space monitoring stations, asteroid mining facilities, outer planet installations, Garthek enumerated. If their defensive capabilities scale proportionally, we could face coordinated resistance across multiple star system locations. Zeftai addressed the assembled officers with growing dread. What is your collective assessment of a full-scale assault on Earth itself? The council chamber fell completely silent. Finally, Krendos spoke with careful precision. Based on current combat data and extrapolated performance metrics, highly inadvisable. If 12 humans with improvised mining equipment can inflict significant casualties on 60 elite raiders, if 40,000 colonists can resist professional military forces for 3 weeks, if 12,000 lunar personnel can stall our first battle fleet for 42 days, 8 billion humans on their homeworld, with months of preparation time, with full access to their planetary industrial capacity and coordinated military planning. Morgek completed the terrifying calculation. The mathematical projections indicate casualty rates that would cripple our military capabilities, HFY Sesmar added grimly. A full invasion would require resources exceeding our current fleet strength by significant margins. Vexhun highlighted psychological analysis data with disturbing implications. Furthermore, humans demonstrate pack loyalty that extends to species-level coordination. An attack on Earth would unify every human population throughout their colonial territories. We would face not just Earth's defenses, but coordinated resistance from every human settlement across dozens of star systems. They would convert every civilian facility into military assets, Morgek agreed. Every human colony would become a fortified position. Every civilian would become a potential combatant. We would face industrial-scale resistance across multiple systems simultaneously. Zeftai contemplated the tactical nightmare they were describing. And their technological innovation rate under pressure? Exponential and unpredictable, HFY Sesmar confirmed. Given months to prepare, they would develop weapons and tactics our strategic computers cannot anticipate. Their civilian technology could be weaponized in ways that exceed our analytical capabilities. Most disturbing of all, Vexhun added quietly, they demonstrate mercy toward defeated enemies while maintaining absolute determination in combat. This suggests they could become valuable allies if approached correctly, or utterly implacable enemies if we continue current hostilities. The council chamber buzzed with quiet conversations as officers absorbed the full implications of their situation. There is an additional strategic consideration, Krendos said carefully. Human expansion patterns and technological development suggest they are naturally exploratory. Left to develop independently, they will eventually achieve faster-than-light travel and expand beyond their current territorial boundaries. In practical terms, Zeftai said with growing dread, they will either become our allies through negotiation, or they will eventually develop sufficient strength to challenge the entire hegemony through expansion. The probability models indicate that conflict with fully developed human civilization would result in hegemony defeat, HFY Sesmar confirmed with mathematical certainty. Zeftai stood, his decision crystallizing with the weight of survival. Signal the entire fleet immediately. All military operations against human targets are suspended with immediate effect. Ambassador. Krendos questioned with surprise. Prepare comprehensive diplomatic communications to Earth Defense Command. Zeftai commanded with newfound urgency. We will offer complete alliance terms. Full technological exchange, mutual defense agreements, territorial recognition, and trade partnerships. Sir, the Hegemony Council will demand explanations for this strategic reversal, Morgek warned. The Hegemony Council did not witness 12 humans convert mining equipment into weapons that eliminated 43 elite shock troops. Zeftai replied firmly. They did not observe 40,000 farmers and colonists hold off our professional military forces for 3 weeks. They did not watch 12,000 defenders stall our first battle fleet for 42 days while simultaneously conducting intelligence operations. He activated the priority communication array with practiced efficiency. Emergency priority transmission to Earth Defense Command. This is Ambassador Zeftai of the Kethvar Hegemony. We urgently request immediate cessation of hostilities and formal discussions regarding mutual alliance and cooperation. The response came with surprising speed. A human voice, calm and professional despite the circumstances, replied, "This is Admiral Janet Morrison, Earth Defense Command. We have been monitoring your fleet movements and are prepared to discuss comprehensive peace terms and alliance opportunities." Zeftai looked around the council chamber at his fellow officers with a mixture of relief and apprehension. Record this moment for historical analysis, colleagues. Today we learned that assumptions can be fatal, and humanity is not a Category 3 civilization. They may not fit our classification system at all. What do you estimate their actual classification should be? Vexon asked with scientific curiosity. Zeftai studied the comprehensive tactical displays showing human innovation, adaptation, determination, and strategic thinking. Unknown and potentially beyond our current measurement scale. They may represent an entirely new category of civilization. As diplomatic channels opened and preliminary negotiations began, Zeftai reflected on the brief war that had changed everything. The Kethvar had attacked what they thought was a primitive species and discovered something far more dangerous and sophisticated. Sir, Krendos interrupted his contemplation. Earth Defense Command is transmitting comprehensive technical specifications for preliminary alliance discussions. Zeftai reviewed the incoming data and felt his blood chill with new understanding. The humans were sharing advanced technology they had developed during their brief conflict. Improvements to plasma containment systems, innovative kinetic weapon designs, defensive strategies that could revolutionize space combat, and tactical algorithms that exceeded Kethvar capabilities. They developed all of this technology in 6 weeks of combat, he whispered with growing horror. Confirmed, HFY Sesmar replied grimly. This represents technological advancement that should require decades of research, accomplished during active combat operations while simultaneously fighting for survival. Most concerning, Vexon added, they are sharing this information freely as a gesture of diplomatic good faith. They are not concealing their technological capabilities or using them as negotiating leverage. Zeftai realized the true scope of their situation. The humans weren't just militarily dangerous because of their combat abilities. They were strategically dangerous because they could rapidly become technological superiors to any species that opposed them, while simultaneously becoming valuable allies to species that cooperated with them. Draft comprehensive alliance proposals immediately, he ordered. Full partnership terms including technology sharing, joint military cooperation, combined exploration missions, and integrated defense planning. Sir, Morgat questioned the extent of the proposed cooperation. If we cannot defeat them through military action, Zeftai explained, we must ensure they never develop reasons to consider us enemies. And if they continue technological development at observed rates. He paused, considering the long-term implications. We may someday depend on their friendship for our own survival. The communication system activated with another incoming message from Earth. Admiral Morrison's voice filled the chamber with calm authority. Ambassador Zeftai, we genuinely appreciate your diplomatic approach to resolving this conflict. However, I should mention for the sake of complete honesty that our current defensive preparations and demonstrated capabilities represent approximately 15% of human military potential. We sincerely prefer cooperation and mutual benefit to conflict and destruction. The chamber fell into stunned silence. The human admiral was politely informing them that everything they had witnessed, all the tactical innovations and defensive capabilities that had stalled their invasion, represented only a fraction of humanity's true military strength. Understood completely, Admiral Morrison, Zeftai replied with careful diplomacy. The Kethvar hegemony looks forward enthusiastically to a long, mutually beneficial, and peaceful alliance relationship. As the transmission ended, Zeftai turned to his officers for final strategic assessment. Immediate recommendations for Hegemony Council consideration? Immediate and comprehensive alliance with humanity, Krendos said without any hesitation. Full technological cooperation, joint military development, and integrated strategic planning. Absolutely agreed, Morgek added emphatically. And perhaps most critically, we must ensure that humanity never develops any cause to view the hegemony as a potential threat or obstacle to their development. We should also seriously consider, Vexhun suggested quietly, that if humans continue their observed development rate, they may surpass current hegemony technology within decades. Alliance now positions us as partners and equals rather than potential subjects or obstacles. The sobering thought settled over the council chamber like a heavy blanket. They had attacked what appeared to be a weak species and discovered potential future masters of the galaxy. There is one final strategic consideration, HFY Sesmar added, manipulating holographic star charts to show predicted expansion patterns. Human development and expansion patterns suggest they will inevitably encounter other alien species as they achieve interstellar travel capabilities. Some of those species might make the same catastrophic mistake we almost made. You're suggesting humans will need reliable allies against future conflicts with other species, Zeftai realized. Precisely. And if we prove ourselves completely trustworthy partners now, we ensure our position beside them rather than beneath them in future galactic politics. Zeftai nodded slowly with complete understanding. The Kethvar had learned an invaluable lesson about judging species by superficial appearances and initial technology assessments. They had also learned that some mistakes in judgment could prove catastrophic to entire civilizations. Final strategic decision, he announced with absolute authority. Complete and comprehensive alliance with humanity. Total technological exchange programs. Joint military development projects. Integrated exploration missions. And immediate notification to all hegemony member species that humanity is to be classified as Category 1+ with highest diplomatic priority. Category 1+? Krendos questioned the new classification. A completely new classification level, Zeftai explained. Reserved for species that demonstrate capabilities beyond our current measurement scales. Species that could potentially challenge, influence, or surpass the hegemony itself through technological and military development. As his officers began implementing the complex alliance protocols, Zeftai continued studying the comprehensive human combat data. 12 defenders holding off 60 experienced attackers. 40,000 colonists resisting professional military forces. 12,000 personnel stalling an entire battle fleet while conducting intelligence operations. And according to Admiral Morrison's honest assessment, that represented only 15% of human capability. Ambassador, Vexhun interrupted his analysis. There's something additional that requires immediate attention. Detailed analysis of human communications during all combat operations reveals they were deliberately restraining their responses. Provide specific details. They possess weapons they chose not to deploy. Tactical capabilities they deliberately did not implement. Strategic options they consciously avoided. It appears they were systematically testing our military capabilities while carefully limiting their own responses to avoid unnecessary escalation. Zeftai felt ice form in his circulatory system. They were conducting systematic intelligence gathering while defending themselves. The evidence strongly suggests they were performing comprehensive analysis of Kethvar military strengths, weaknesses, and tactical patterns while revealing minimal information about their own true capabilities. The full implication struck him with devastating clarity. The humans hadn't simply been defending their territories. They had been conducting a methodical intelligence operation, studying Kethvar military capabilities while carefully concealing the extent of their own strength. Sir, HFY Sesmar added with obvious concern, if they were deliberately restraining their military responses while still achieving these defensive results. Zeftai didn't require him to complete the calculation. If the humans had been consciously limiting their military responses and still managed to stall a Kethvar invasion while gathering intelligence, their true military potential was beyond any reasonable calculation. Emergency priority message to the Hegemony Council, he ordered immediately. Humanity is not to be engaged militarily under any circumstances whatsoever. Any member species considering conflict with humans should receive immediate and strongest possible advisory against such actions. And our current diplomatic status? Krendos asked. Zeftai surveyed the council chamber filled with officers who had begun this operation with complete confidence in Kethar's superiority and were now hoping desperately for human forgiveness and alliance. "We are extraordinarily fortunate," he said finally, "that humans genuinely appear to prefer cooperation and partnership to conquest and domination. We initiated hostilities against them first, and they are still offering alliance and friendship rather than revenge and destruction." The communication system activated once more. Admiral Morrison's voice returned with professional courtesy. "Ambassador, we have prepared comprehensive preliminary alliance terms for your detailed review. We believe extensive cooperation between our civilizations could provide significant benefits for both species and contribute to galactic peace and prosperity." "Received with tremendous gratitude, Admiral," Zeftai replied immediately. The Kethvar hegemony eagerly anticipates a long, prosperous, and mutually beneficial partnership with humanity. As the transmission concluded, he addressed his assembled officers for final assessment and historical record. "Colleagues, today we have learned that fundamental assumptions can prove deadly to entire civilizations. We have also learned that some species should never be underestimated under any circumstances, and that humans should never be threatened unless you are completely prepared for consequences that exceed imagination. What specific information do we provide to the Hegemony Council regarding human capabilities?" Morgek asked for clarification. Zeftai considered the question with appropriate gravity. "We provide complete and honest information. We explain that we attacked a species we assumed was primitive and discovered they may be more technologically advanced than we are. We emphasize that they demonstrated mercy when they possessed the capability for destruction. And we make absolutely clear that the galaxy is about to become a fundamentally different place." He paused, studying the tactical displays showing human innovations developed during mere weeks of conflict while fighting for survival. "Most importantly, we inform them that humanity represents either the greatest alliance opportunity in hegemony history or the most dangerous potential enemy we have ever encountered, and the choice of which they become depends entirely on our diplomatic wisdom and cooperative spirit." The council chamber fell silent as officers absorbed the complete magnitude of their situation. They had declared war on Earth with confidence and immediately discovered they had made a potentially civilization-ending error in judgment. Now they could only hope with desperate sincerity that human mercy and preference for cooperation was as genuine and reliable as human military capability was terrifying and overwhelming. "Begin comprehensive alliance negotiations immediately," Zeftai commanded with absolute priority. "And pray to whatever gods or principles you hold sacred that humans truly prefer partnership and cooperation to conquest and domination." As his officers began implementing the extensive new diplomatic protocols, Zeftai reflected on the brief war that had fundamentally changed everything they thought they understood about the galaxy. The Kethvar had sought to conquer what appeared to be a primitive species and instead had discovered potential masters of galactic civilization. The only remaining question was whether humanity would remain content with peaceful partnership and cooperation, or whether they possessed larger ambitions and longer-term plans that were only beginning to unfold across the galaxy. Either way, the balance of galactic power would never be the same, and the Kethvar had learned that sometimes the greatest victory was recognizing when you had made a mistake before it became irreversible.